welcome to my video. My name is Kim. Today I thought I would just do a quick review of a book that I read yesterday. It was a short story. It's called Galatea by Madeline Miller. It's a retelling of the myth of Galatea and Pygmalion. For those of you who aren't familiar with that, it's a sculptor makes the perfect woman, his idea of the perfect woman, and brings her to life and falls in love with her. So that's the short version. This one, first of all, I'm going to spoil the heck out of it. So if you haven't read it, pause the video, get yourself a copy, read the book, and then come back, because I'm going to talk about all kinds of stuff, and it's going to be a little extensive, so like there will be no secrets left for you to read it if you haven't read it. So read it first. Alright, and the second thing is Madeline Miller and this book are like kind of modern feminists, this book is meant to be a commentary on all men, or manly men, whatever. And I am not a modern feminist, so if you want that perspective, that's cool. The author herself, I'm sure, can provide that, and I'm sure other people who do book reviews can provide that. But for me, I love masculinity, manly men. I grew up on Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Dolph Lundgren and basically all the Expendables. That's my generation. So I don't have a problem with masculinity, but it seems like this author does. So it's just a matter of perspective. So for me, it's just a bad man doing bad things, because men are human, and sometimes humans are bad. Women can choose to be horrible too. It's not a gender thing. So I just wanted you to know that this is where I'm coming from, as someone who thinks men and women both have their own part to play in society. Both valuable. Masculinity and femininity are important, equally important. So that's me. So this book, I love this book. It was so good. I gave it 4.25 stars on Storygraph. Really, I only docked it because they do use the F word 4 times. And I think 4 times in 50 pages is a lot. So, I don't like that word anyway. But, they do use it, in its proper context, I guess. So, I mean, there's that. So, do with that as you will. The story is about a sculptor, and he doesn't like the regular women in his town. He, thinks they're all promiscuous, and he doesn't trust them, and, they don't know how to blush, and, they're not what he wants. So he decides he's going to design the perfect woman. And so he does. He sculpts the perfect woman, and then he prays to the goddess, and the goddess brings her to life. So she has no education, no understanding of the world. She's just beautiful. That's all he created her to be, is just beautiful. And he miscalculated. He didn't expect 2 things. One, he didn't know that she'd be able to talk. And he didn't want somebody that had thoughts or feelings or any of that sort of stuff. He didn't want a companion or, an equal, or somebody that he could talk to or anything. He basically just wants somebody to bed and control. So the fact that she can talk is kind of, a bummer to him. And the second thing is, he didn't expect her to be able to get pregnant. And, he wanted her to just, stay perfect and gorgeous and dedicate every waking moment to thinking about him. And, now he has to share her with this child. And, that upsets him too. So, she was created 10 years ago. Their daughter's 10. So, I guess 11 years ago. Their daughter's 10, and, they're kind of kept under lock and key. Like, he knows what they're doing and where they're going, and he's very jealous and very controlling. And they do, the daughter has a tutor, and she's learning how to read. She's teaching her mom how to read. They go for walks during the day, and they go to the beach, and they practice their letters in the sand. So, the mom is learning to read, but it's slow, and, she has no education and no, like, understanding of things like that. So, like, she's starting from the ground up. And so the daughter's trying to teach her how to read. And one day the husband sees the tutor is looking at his wife. And that makes him angry, but he confronts her. And she's like, yeah, I mean, you created me to be gorgeous. I'm a work of art. Men look, like, she's not interested in him. She's not trying to seduce the teacher or anything like that. It's just, yeah, I'm pretty. So what? And he hates that. He's like, what? You knew about it? You knew that, this guy was looking at you? And so he fires the tutor. So then he kind of pulls in the reins and gets the daughter a governess, and then their reading lessons stop, and like they can't spend as much. The daughter and the mom can't spend as much time together, and he's trying to create some space between them. And there are a couple of funny things, like, I mean, it's funny, but it's sad. Like, because he, only wants to have his way with her. Like, he doesn't respect her as a human being. He just, he only has one use for her. Like, when she was pregnant, she was kind of afraid. Like, she said, I worried that because of it, I would have not one child, but a whole litter at once, like cats in the street. And I thought that was amusing. So, yeah. Anyway, she only had the one child. And, her daughter is highly intelligent, and because the tutor's been fired, like, she's kind of restless, and she misses her mom. She misses their old routine. She's not learning anything. She's frustrated, and she kind of sasses her dad, and he's angry because she won't just do what he says. And so her mom says, you go ahead, leave the room, like your dad said, or whatever, like, she talks to her, and the daughter obeys. And he's mad about that. And, like, after that, he's kind of done with the daughter. Like, yeah, he's done. So, the mom notices that he's being worse, and he's being more difficult with the daughter. And, so she decides they're going to run away. So she has a little bit of money saved up, and she takes it and her daughter, and they leave. But they only really get to the, like, next town, or they don't get very far, because, she's so gorgeous, and actually so is her daughter. She's very striking. So they don't get very far, and he catches up with her and brings her home, and he basically has the mom committed. He has her locked in a hospital. They tell her that she's very sick and that she needs to stay in bed. And that's where the book starts, or the story starts. She misses her daughter. She wants to get out. But the doctor and the nurse are being bribed, or at least the doctor is being bribed to keep her in bed, and, to keep her, like, immobile, and, like, don't let her do anything. She doesn't have any visitors. She doesn't have any like hobbies. I mean, she's not allowed to do anything, but he still comes every day to have his way with her. And she asks him about his day, about work, and he tells her that he's working on a new sculpture, and she's like, "Oh, is it another wife, or like what kind of sculpture is it? Is it a commission?" And he's like, "No, it's for me." And she's like, "Oh, well, like tell me about it." And he said that it's a 10-year-old, and like the mom gets like afraid, and I think she puts it together. It's like, wait a minute, our daughter is 10, and it seems like he's going to replace the daughter with a more compliant, better, like perfect girl that he's going to make. So he leaves, or no, before he leaves, she hashes a little conspiracy or a little plan, a plot to escape, and she knows, I mean, he hates their daughter, so he'd really hate if they had two daughters or two children. So she tells him, oh, guess what? I have news for you. I'm pregnant. And he's like, what? How's that possible? I've been so careful. And she's like, I don't know. And it just happened, whatever. I just know that I'm pregnant. And he gets mad, and he's like, well, does the doctor know about this? And she's like, no, I didn't want to tell anybody until I told you. So he leaves, and he tells the doctor to give her miscarriage tea, so that she won't be able to carry the baby. And so that night, the doctor, before he goes home for the night, prescribes this tea. The nurse comes in, and she's sympathetic, but she's just doing her job or whatever. And she, the wife, the sculpture girl, Galatea, is asking her questions. She's all nervous, like, could this kill me? Is it gonna make me sick? What is it? And the nurse is sympathetic because she's also done this procedure. She's apparently had that situation. I don't know what I'm allowed to say on YouTube, but yeah, she killed her kid. Anyway, so the nurse is like, no, you'll be okay. Look at me. I'm okay, right? I've had one, and it's fine, and she's acting all nervous, and she's not actually concerned because she's not pregnant, but she's acting afraid and everything, and she's like, oh, well, can I go outside? I need some fresh air. This is all very scary, whatever. And the nurse is like, no, you can't go outside, but when the doctor goes home for the day, we'll go for a walk. And so the doctor leaves, and then Galatea and her nurse go outside, and she fake swoons, and like, oh, I think I'm dying, I go get the doctor, get help, whatever. And she the nurse is worried, so she runs off to go get her help. And as soon as she's out of sight, then Galatea runs off, and she goes home. And she knows that she won't be able to escape. She already tried that. It didn't work. So she goes into her husband's workshop, and she sees his new sculpture. And, it's a beautiful little 10-year-old girl. And, she doesn't want him to imprison the new little girl, and she doesn't want, she's I think afraid of what he might do to the old little girl. And so she goes up to her daughter's room. She doesn't have any paper, or she doesn't know how to write anyway, whatever. But there's some sand in the bedroom that her daughter kept from the beach. And she just wrote the daughter's name. I believe her name is Pathos. And she just wrote her name in the sand, just so the daughter would know that she had been there. And then she went downstairs to the husband, and she woke him up, and as soon as he opened his eyes, she took off running. So then he takes off running after her, and she leads him to the beach, and she jumps into the water, and I guess he's so blind with rage or whatever, wants to capture her so much. Like, he doesn't think through any of it, so he just jumps in after her, and he's swimming, and they get out pretty far, and he catches her, which was the plan. And okay, so this is another one of those like trigger warning things, but I kind of thought it was awesome. But I also really love the movie Sleeping with the Enemy, so you know where my head's at. So he catches her with her leg, and he's like pulling her to him, and he like has his arms around her, and she turns around in his arms and grabs him, and she starts to lose her spirit, and she's pulling him down, and she's turning to stone. What was that? Sorry, she's turning to stone, and like from the head down, she's just turning to stone and weighting him down. And just as she couldn't escape him in life, he can't escape her in death. So they drowned. So, wow. I loved that that book. That I like this. It's such a beautiful book too. It's the blue and the gold. I love that like combination of colors, and you can tell it's the ocean. Like, it's just, it is such a good story. You know, Pygmalion, for those of you who know or don't know, it's the basis for the movie, like My Fair Lady, which is also a play. You know, I don't think it's overly romantic, but, you know, Eliza Doolittle likes Professor Higgins. Like, she doesn't mind that he's a jerk. She doesn't mind that he's egotistical, and that, you know, he thinks that, you know, like, he's so much smarter and better than she is. Like, she doesn't mind that. So, you know, if your spouse is a jerk, but you don't mind that he's a jerk, doesn't matter. I don't know. I wouldn't want a jerk. I like, you know, I like nice men. So, I don't know. I just think that it's interesting. It was an interesting story. And also, you know, My Fair Lady was what inspired Pretty Woman. And I'm sure that there are other stories that have been inspired by Pretty Woman. So, just, I don't know, like, this story, this myth in pop culture is a pretty, I don't know, pretty common thing. I mean, it probably, like, if you look at My Fair Lady, you know, that's truly like a grumpy sunshine kind of story. And it's also, you know, not enemies, but, you know, not exactly friends to lovers either. So, I don't know. Comment below if you've read this book, if you liked it, if you didn't like it, what your perspective is on it. You know, like I said, I gave it a 4.25, so, I mean, I thought it was pretty darn wonderful. So, yeah, just comment below. Let me know where you're at with this book. All right, and I think that's it. So, good night, and talk to you later. Bye.